So these are my lower legs. These are the greaves that I wear. So these are the upper legs I wear.
They're shiny.
And they're leather and steel, but they could be just leather, right? You could have the same piece made out of just leather. So go ahead and here, I'll hold that for you.
And since it's would this be considered like studded?
It's that's kind of brigantine legs or lamellar legs, because they're strips of metal that are riveted to the leather.
Okay.
So if you look on the inside, it's clearly 3 or 4 pieces of metal that are secured to the leather.
Okay.
So it's more than studded. Studded would be where it's mostly leather and just the studs themselves maybe have the little plates behind them, and that's what's actually providing the resilience and the stud and the foundation for the armor. Whereas it's actually the sheets of the metal.
Okay. So that's penny.
Yeah.
Penny.
You can. That's what this guy decided to use. He likes those, I guess, to hold as a burr, as a washer.
Will they work the same?
Yeah. Pretty much. I avoid it myself. I just don't do it. I just find a burr that works. And he has some larger. Those are heavy duty. Remember how I mentioned if you're going to use these, you should have like a heavy duty rivet that you use occasionally, and those are the heavy duty ones there. Those are like with the places you see the pennies are the points that have a lot of stress. So that's where he feels that they need a little extra reinforcement. All of these are the snap rivets that I was showing you, those little brass snap rivets.
Okay.
So the reason why they're effective is because there's so many of them, and not because they're strong, because they're not strong.
Okay.
But there's 20, 30 of them on there, so it becomes effective.
So what else is now we got rivets, we got buckles. What else?
Well, we talked about patterning. We talked about straps. We talked about so tools, tool inventory, scissors, hole punch, some sort of anvil. But again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could just be a nice solid piece of metal that you find around the house. A hammer or hammers of some sort, and again, not expensive. End cutters or pliers pliers. You can also use for the end cutters. You don't have to get the end cutters themselves. You could just get like even these pliers have the sharp. They have the sharp part there that you can use to cut the copper. It's not going to be as effective. It's not going to give you the same power as the end cutters are, but it still will work okay. So it's not as ideal, but in a pinch, if you need it, this would work. There's also channel locks, which are these big pliers. Same thing. They have a little cutting edge there, which you can use also to cut.
For the breastplate,
Yep.
when you connect it, would I use leather lace or buckles?
I would use buckles.
Okay.
I would use buckles. And it depends on what you're doing. Hey Ben, go get my arming jacket out of the closet, the red one.
Daddy?
The one that's in my closet
Daddy,
with the elbows on it.
could you do this?
Yeah, in just a second, okay?
Oh, we were doing.
I know. I want to show. I'm going to use it for demonstration. So the reason why I'm having him get the jacket is because there's different ways of attaching your armor to your body. A later period, you would do. It's more of a harness where it doesn't. It rests on your hips and your shoulders. That's a la that suit.
It's the locking.
Yeah. So it has pins and it has buckles that holds everything together. And I can take it down and show it to you if you like. But the earlier stuff, like the 1300 stuff, it uses arming points or ties. So it has laces that you tie your armor onto.
Okay.
And Ben's getting my jacket so he can show you.
Is there a way to put chainmail on leather?
Yeah. And onto the fabric. So
This thing's hot.
yeah, I know it is. Okay, so this is my arming coat. This is my arming jacket.
So do you buy it or make it?
My sister-in-law makes them, but I bought this one. I bought this one from Ukraine, and it's pretty good. It's a really heavy material. Go ahead and feel how heavy it is. So it's heavy cloth. You can put it on if you want.
So did you buy it online or while you were over there?
Buy it online.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a company called Hammer Breaker. It took about 6 months to make. So these are obviously your arms are a little different shape than mine are. So these go on my elbows, and then
This French, German.
this is French, but it's pretty consistent across Italian, German, and French of this time period. This is a simple elbow with a called a rondelle or a bezigue.
It's like a pipe.
Yeah, and then you would add in the other pieces of the armor. So like this goes on here, and this actually goes on your upper arm right there, and actually, yeah, it goes right here. So you actually use these laces to go through those holes, and then you tie it in. So that's what these are. These are actually holding the armor together. So that holds it so that when you get hit, it doesn't move so much.
So you don't need a lot of lace. You can just use shoelace.
Yeah, pretty much. I would use, if you could, use paracord or use stuff that's stronger. You could even just use, but this is really just like black shoelace, like boot lace. It's a little heavier duty. Just make sure you finish the ends with something, either these little tabs, or you can tape them and then change them or something, just so that they don't fall apart. Because the worst thing to happen is that once you get it all together, then it starts to fray and fall apart. So this is just leather underneath to kind of help hold it in place. And as you notice, there's attachment points, like right here. This is just a piece of leather onto the jacket where the string goes through. And then that string holds the armor down to your arm.
Give me another.
So this is a transitional suit of armor. This is the basis of it, is the army jacket. And then everything literally ties onto it. I'll show you the shoulders also. So the shoulders go on here. And these are just their little pauldrons, nothing fancy.
Huzzah!
And I haven't put straps on them yet, but there's a little string on there, so all you do is just tie the string on there.
So is this the best way to at my level to work with ornaments in this fashion?
It's not bad.
Ben, Ben.
And then you can just tie it on to here or whatever. So there's your shoulder. And then the other piece, you'd have another piece right here it's called the rear brace, which goes from the back of your arm to your elbow, and then one that goes on the van brace from your elbow to your wrist. Yeah. So, but that's the basis of it right there.
And how would the breastplate apply on?
Well, it's the for this one, it's the Corzina that I was showing you. So this is the front half. Go ahead and put your arm out to the side. Yeah. So this would go over the top like that, and this would have straps over the shoulder, one on each shoulder. It would have straps on the side holding it together, and then you'd have buckles and straps down the front. So what I would do is do the shoulder ones first, so you know where it's at on top. Then do the side ones, so you can figure out how far in it had to be. And then once you have it closed like a jacket, then you just do the front ones.
And would the buckle would I buckle on one side and then strap on the other side and then just buckle it?
Yep, you just have straps across with buckles.
Okay.
Where's the other side of this? I think it's over here.
It's over there.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Yeah, what's your blade?
At least it has a ball on it.
So this one I just started to attach. It's not done yet, but you would hold it, like this. It would attach as such. And then one would go over the other, and you'd have buckles and straps holding it down. Okay?
Okay.
So, and this could be with leather. I mean, without the metal, just leather. Just heavier grade leather. Or you could even do 2 layers of leather. You could do a hard leather inside, just like I do with the metal, and then do a garment leather on top or something. Of this time period also, a lot of the armor wasn't necessarily coated in leather. It was done in wool or in fabric. So you could use cotton fabric or wool or something like that if you wanted to.
Ben, no shields.
And what about the legs?
Mhm.
Like how from the breastplate, it's from below, like buckle and strap from below.
Right. It is done underneath the army jacket. So I have a belt that I wear, and I have the belt on, and then the legs attached to the belt. If you look at the legs, they have buckles, and then on my belt I have straps that go down. So those straps come down from the belt and they hook onto there. So I have 2, one on the front, one on the side, and then they go around the back of my leg, below the knee, and then right at the top of my thigh here.
And the greaves and boots there,
Mhm.
like are they separate?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're not attached, and that's again more this time period. If you get to later time periods, like my legs over there, they're fully attached. The leg goes from the hip all the way to the ankle. It's one piece, whereas this is really 2 pieces. You get from the thigh to the shin, to the upper shin, and then from the whole lower shin, and then you also have feet, which are sabatons, which are optional.
Do they for the could it be like
Sabatons.
could it be a boot greave where it just like where both of them are connected, boots and greave together?
It could be. It could be. It depends on how you're making it. Like the sabatons, they have lace points that attach to my boot, so they hold onto the boot just like the rest of the armor does. The greaves just have 2 straps. They have one on the bottom, one on the top, and they hold them into place. Yes, Alan?
But the knee thing only goes so low.
Yep.
But how does it protect the other parts of your knee?
The knee only protects your knee. And then you have that little piece that's below the knee that handles the interface between your shin and your knee.
But what covers right here
On top of your foot,
on the ankle?
your saboton. See?
Stop it, Ben. That hurts.
Okay, so this goes on here, and then this goes over the top.
That goes over the top of the knee thing.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
All right.
And what about for helmet? Like
Yep.
for helm.
Mine's curved. So.
Well, I am hard pressed to recommend a leather
wait.
helm.
It's
So
Go down.
they're just too soft. Yeah.
Hey, you're not allowed to do that.
No punching, okay? Just the blades. Put the shield down. Thank you. Wait for it to be ready. And go down the driveway more. Okay. So the for helmets, I have a large variety of helmets that I use. Trying to think what would be like the right time period. There's kettle helms, which are rounded top with a big visor, big brim. Those are like a pikeman's helmet. Pikeman's.
How about salad?
What's that?
The salad.
Oh, the salad.
Salad.
Yeah, there's different styles. This is one. So this is the trick about them is they don't really have a lot for the chin. So they're designed to be worn with a bever, which is a throat piece, a throat protection. So
What about the goget?
the gorget,
Goget.
that goes underneath here. See, and that protects your throat and your neck. And this is smaller ones are called bever, and the larger ones are called gorget. And the gorgets are here is a leather gorget. Check that. I bought that from a friend of mine. It's I have lots of different salons. So here's another salad. And then another salad.
I touched you.
And
I did.
Would I be focusing on lacing?
another salad.
Would I be focusing on lacing just like this? Like with most armors, stitching. Sorry. Would
Yeah.
most armors require that?
Not necessarily, but stitching is very simple.
Okay.
I can show you some of the stitching.
Alright.
It's very simple. Stitching is an alternative to rivets. If you look at the van brace I did, there's no stitching on that one at all. But I've done other stuff where you use a lot of stitching. The trick about stitching to get it to look nice like this is to have a stitch setter that automatically spaces out the stitches so that they're even length apart. And there's different kinds of stitch setters to do that. You can do it by hand, which is not very accurate. I recommend against it. But if you have no other option, it works okay.
You're not allowed to do that.
Let's- Hey Ben, that's enough. Help her put everything together. So here's two different kinds of stitching setters. One is a wheel. It's just a wheel with little spikes on it. So when you roll it across leather, go ahead and watch. See, this is smooth right now. You push it across and you go in a straight line. It shows you where your stitches are going to go, right?
Okay.
This is the next step of that. This is actually like a little fork. And you just take it and you hammer it lightly. You line it up to where you want the stitches. Give it a couple taps, and there you go. And those get a little deeper into the leather. So if you're going through heavier leather, this is better.
Okay.
This is also more expensive. And the tips of these are pretty sharp, so I always keep them in a little bag because you can poke yourself. I've poked myself accidentally before. So, but it works out really well. They have different size spacing. They have different size stitch holes. And with that and the one other secret tool, stitching is very easy. This is the other secret tool.
Is that the 4-in-1?
This is called the All for All.
Yes.
This is why I
Yep.
shouldn't.
All for All. And what it has is in the handle, it's got a little tool that tightens for the needles, and it usually has a spare needle in there also. You take the thread and you wind it around the spool. You feed it through there. You punch it through the leather. You pull your thread through. You pull back through, and then you just keep feeding it through like a little hand sewing machine. And that's how I do all my stitching. It works out very well. If you use the bigger stitch setter like this, you can get right through the leather real easy.
So what would it look like?
The stitching?
Yes.
Like
Like when you punch it in, and which way do you pull out from the outside or inside?
Right. Let me show you. I'll demonstrate. Let me see if I can find some thread.
Excuse me.
You put things away. Trying to think where my thread went to.
Yeah, probably know how.
Do I? I'm talking about leather thread.
Yeah,
The leather lace.
I thought you had it on your
Oh, here it
desk.
is. Here it is. I might have some there, but I found it.
So the heavy grade thread is like how
Here you go. So that's waxed
wax.
thread. There's also artificial sinew, which is also really heavy duty. It's actually even heavier duty than that. And that I use also.
What's this?
Thread.
Dad, the hanger broke.
Yep. Go get a new one.
Put it in upside down.
Go get a new one. So when you pull it through, first thing is you find out where it's going to bulge out. And when you first start, you have to pull the leather through. Or sorry, pull the lace through. Okay? Then you pull it back through. Now, the tricky part is when you get your first stitch. So see how the stitch is behind the needle? It's not twisted this way. It's like this, right? So all the thread is, there's the reserve thread is up here, and then the used thread is behind it. You go through the second hole. And I just twist it because it actually digs in there like a drill. Okay? And you push. And then when you pull back, you want this loop here on the back side. You feed this through. And you just pull it tight. There you go. And then you go to the next one, same thing. Push through. And you want to make sure that you don't push too much pressure on it because you'll break the needle.
Oh.
So you have to be a little delicate. And that's why you use it more like a drill than you use it like a...
Does it matter
Don't force
which way to go in? Like, do you go in that way or the other way?
I'm left-handed, so I do it this way.
Okay.
If you're right-handed, you do it that way, that's
From
fine.
left.
Yeah. And then you pull it through. Just make sure you don't let go of this thread. Okay? So if you notice, we now have two nice stitches, right? And you can do the last one.
So the reserve side is on the left,
The reserve side is kind of in front of you. This is the extra thread that you're going to use as
and
you go
it's
forward.
connected to the.
Right, it's through the hole there. So just watch your finger. Put it through and kind of twist it as you're pushing it through that little hole. Yeah, there you go.
Dad, Ava broke your jacket.
No, she didn't break my
She
jacket.
broke a hole. She broke a button with the...
Okay, then bring it down here and let me see it, please.
Okay.
Okay, now pull it back just a hair. Pull it back out just about, yeah, there you go. So that gets the thread to pop out.
Okay.
Now you feed that through the loop that we created.
Okay. So what happens if you go the other way, but instead
Go
of
ahead, try
the
it.
other-
See what
okay.
happens. I don't think it's going to cause a problem. I think it'll just work fine.
Okay. Until
Now, you pull the needle out. Okay, give it a yank. So, there you go.
Okay.
See? Now pull both sides of the thread. Show me. It came off.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Get a needle and thread, and you can help Alan fix that. Okay. So see how it's popping up just a hair. If you want to fix that, you just pull the on the back. Okay.
Okay.
And so it's nice and smooth. And then the goal is to have all the laces, all the stitches look just like that.
So for stitching, is it
Mm-hmm.
like what places it's used for?
I would say if you can do so, stitching is a lot can be decorative. Stitching can also be supportive. It can actually help keep the shape and the form of the piece. But I would do for most, like if you're gonna do it for fighting with and stuff, I would do stitching and a rivet or two. I wouldn't do stitching by itself for that. If you're doing like for the bottom of the Corzina, where it's just the edge, and you want to make it look interesting, you could fold leather over that and you could stitch that down to make it look cool without using rivets.
Without for chainmail, if I would get my halberd and
Mhm.
then get the leather and then like a leather strap and just fold around it, how does stitching work through all the chainmail?
Just go through, find a even line of the links, and just go through.
Okay.
And I would probably even use the sinew instead of the wax thread because this will wear down pretty quick. The sinew's a little stronger, and that should work. I have to grab a glass of water real quick. My throat's getting parched. Sorry.